Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans. That is it. Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. I'm one half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, Machel St. Patrick Hewitt, and this is the live review recap show of the 3-0 T20 series win over South Africa. West Indies are up, West Indies are back, everyone is celebrating, and we move. After the 1-0 defeat in the Test series, we can add the 3-0 win in the in the T20 series to say that makes a successful home series against South Africa. We win 3 games, they win 1, and 1 draw. I don't know how South Africans have reacted to this particular tour. I don't know if they're happy. I certainly know that my South African colleagues expected to win the Test series 2-0, or there was certainly a feeling that they should win it 2-0. Obviously, some people say that rain played a role in Trinidad. And the T20 series, well, I don't know. I didn't really speak to my South African colleagues before the T20 series, because once the South Africans had named their squad, it always felt like it was a bit of a non-starter of a series. But we can get into that. We can get into all of that. Let's deal with the positives first things first. So, like I say, 3-0 win, and that represents West Indies, if I'm not mistaken. No, I've got it wrong. Oh my god, in the I was about to say their 5th consecutive series win, but it's not. So we won 2-1 away in South Africa last year under Andre Kohli. Who did we play after that? We beat India 3-2 at home. We beat England. Was that 3-2 or 2-1 at home? Lost to Australia 2-1 away. Beat South Africa at home 3-0. Then it was the World Cup. Then we beat South Africa at home 3-0. So that's it. So 5 of the last 6. I think in the series descriptor, I put 5 consecutive wins, which is actually a lie. Series wins. So it's 5 of the last 6 T20 series West Indies have won. So that's obviously a positive. Is there a positive? No, not is there. Of course there is. There's also a positive in the sense of Sammy and Reefer, Ramesh now is part of the backroom staff. I don't know if James Franklin is still there. There's definitely a feel-good factor around the T20 side. But some people are obviously expecting me to say, but what about this, but what about that? I'm going to get to all that. I'm just trying to talk about the positives first. So there is definitely a feel-good factor about the T20 side. People feel when the T20 side comes to play that we can definitely win games, that we can definitely win series. When it's the ODI side or when it's the Test side, you usually start from a position of thinking, well, if luck goes our way and if this happens and if that happens and if that happens, we might get a win. Whereas when it's the T20 side, you there's almost like an expectation that the side will A, definitely compete, and B, should pull off a victory. And Sammy's to be praised for that, and the players are to be praised for that. So this opening monologue certainly is about looking at, there are positives, and we should hail up the positives, and we should celebrate the positives. Coming out the series, what did we learn? They tried Athenaeus at the top, so that was clearly a nod to what they are expecting to, I guess, come in the future, that Johnson Charles didn't get a game. So yes, he was called up into the squad, and yes, there was criticism about why is Johnson Charles there, but he didn't actually play a game. So clearly there's a nod to the future to say, even if Carl Mayers doesn't come back, if Evan Lewis never comes back, if Brandon King is ever injured, they were basically saying Athanaze is now the backup. Hope obviously has been moved to open, and that looks now that the permanent opening partnership will be Hope and King, and Athanaze obviously has been tried out and is now the incumbent backup. There's a positive there. Obviously, Athanaze is a youth man, and they want to invest in him. Cool. Puran, we can celebrate and we can hail up Puran. Three innings for Hope. 134 runs at 67, strike rate of 163. Puran, 3 innings, 119 runs, average of 60, strike rate of 205. Like, we shouldn't take Nicholas Puran for granted. We shouldn't. But at the same time, when I say Nicholas Puran, average of 60, strike rate of 205, that's, how do I phrase this? That's what Nicholas Puran does. So I'm still boosting him. I'm still saying well done, Nicholas Puran. But that's also what Nicholas Puran does. I'd love to see Nicholas do that more in the high pressured games when the stakes are higher and everything is on the line. But I can't hate him for that. Nicholas is our best T20 player, and in this series, he showed yet again why he is our best T20 player, and why Nicholas attracts the big bucks in the T20 leagues, and why he's able to globetrot everywhere and get the best deals. So Nicholas did what Nicholas does. So he didn't need to prove nothing to us. We haven't learned anything new about Nicholas Puran. He just did what he did. Okay. Who was at number 4? Who batted at number 4? Can't even remember. Oh, Powell. Powell obviously had a down bad World Cup. He showed some inklings of returning to some kind of form. Rutherford obviously he's the incumbent number 5 at the moment because Hetmeyer is still riding the bench. I know Hetmeyer got the final game and scored 31 off 17 balls, straight over 182. But Hetmeyer has to try and displace Rutherford. The reality is Rutherford is ahead of him right now in the pecking order, and that's who Hetmeyer has to try and replace. But good that Hetmeyer got the game. So we boost Rutherford, we boost Hetty. We recognise that Rodman had a couple, at least one innings where he showed an inkling of some kind of form. Chase was down bad in this particular series, but we know that Chase is critical in terms of offering a 6th bowling option. So although he was down bad, we know why Chase is there. Romario had a good series with the ball. Did he really have a bat? I don't even remember. But he had a good series with the ball. Where was Romario? 6 wickets, top wicket taker, 6 wickets at an average of 11, economy 7.55. And you know what? That's why Romario Shepherd is frustrating. Because I feel like with Romario Shepherd, I feel like he's one of those players that vacillates between brilliance or desperately under par. There seems to be no middle ground with Romario Shepherd. He doesn't just kind of trundle along doing like 4 overs, 1 for 30, economy 7.7. I think that's all people want from Romario Shepherd, you know. Yes, we'd love him to be a match winner. Yes, we'd love him to do what he did in this series more regularly. But the problem right now is he vacillates wildly between down bad and very good. And you just don't know, unfortunately, at this particular point in time. You never know which Romario Shepherd you're going to get. So, brilliant. He had 2 good games, 1 bad game. And that, to me, is very much kind of on brand with Romario. If he's going to be playing in this West Indies team going forward, I'd like to see more of what he did with this series, which is that he is a bowler who can bash the ball when he comes in at number 7. But he needs to have more impact with the ball. Andre Russell's not going to keep on going and going and going and going until he's 42 years old. So someone needs to step into Russell's into the gap that Russell's going to leave, right? When Russell finally vacates his spot in the team. And that should be Romario. So we saw at least 2 good performances from Romario with the ball. Again, we have to respect that. Mochi and Akil, they didn't do anything that we didn't already know. Akil was brilliant. Akil 4 wickets at 15, economy of 5. Moti, in fact, Moti didn't actually take any wickets. Sorry, Moti had an all right economy. Sorry, I was mixing up Matthew 4 there. Moti had an all right economy, went at 8s, but he didn't actually take many wickets. But that second game we won, it was that 4-over spell where Multi bowled 2 and Akil bowled 2 that essentially brought the game back so that West Indies could win it when it looked like they were actually going to lose that second game to the South Africans. So Akil was good, Multi was average, but again, we didn't learn anything new about Akil. Similar to Puram, we didn't learn anything new about Akil and Multi because there's nothing to learn about Akil and Multi. We already know what they do, and they did what they do. So we don't need to learn anything about Akil and Multi. Anyways, I'll get to that part in a minute. Matthew Ford, obviously, they now see him as they want to see him. They want to see him take wickets up front. That seems to be the role they've now entrusted with him. He obviously had got a look in just before the World Cup, didn't make the World Cup squad, but obviously now Ford is going to be one of the guys going forward. Yes, I know Alzari Joseph is being rested at this particular moment in time, but it gave an opportunity to look at Shamar Joseph in the enforcer role. So for me, Shamar Joseph was replacing Alzari Joseph in terms of what Alzari's role would be. Matthew Ford, I think, going forward, is likely to be a first choice pick now, going forward. So in the World Cup, if I remember rightly, our bowling attack was Alzari. Who was our 5 bowlers? Alzari, Akil, Multi, Romario, Dre Russ. Those were our 5 bowlers in the World Cup, right? And then Ruston Chase is like the 6th bowler. Matthew Ford is taking one of those spots going forward. Whether it be Dre Russ, I don't know. But they clearly see Matthew Ford as somebody who can bowl up front and take wickets. And I would assume that Matthew Ford, Shamar Joseph, and Alzari Joseph going forward, it'll be 3 bowlers fighting for 2 spots going forward, you would assume. In the short term, I don't know what that will look like 18 months from now, but certainly in the short term, you expect to see those 3 bowlers fighting for 2 spots. Romario Shepherd will still hold down position number 7. Akil and Gudakesh won't get dropped, so it's 3 fast bowlers for 2 spots with Romario Shepherd as the bowling all-rounder. That's how you would expect things to go as things move on. Okay, I haven't really got to the comments yet because I'm kind of doing this opening monologue, but let me pull up this one. AR says Akil and Multi are now ranked numbers 2 and 3 in T20 bowling rankings. Yeah, I saw that earlier, but check this out, AR. I don't care about rankings. I don't care about rankings for teams. I don't care about rankings for players. I actually think they're highly irrelevant. I don't pay any attention to ICC rankings. It don't tell me nothing. West Indies were ranked 4 going into the World Cup. Did we finish in the top 4? No. Rankings are a waste of time. I don't pay not one piece of attention to rankings. Who have I missed out? Obed McCoy played the last match, bowled 1 over, wasn't impressive. And then Shamar. Get to Shamar 1 second. So Shamar, like I say, replaced Alzari Joseph for me. Played the first 2 matches, 5 wickets at 14, economy 8.87, and I thought Shamar was good. I thought Shamar replaced Alzari well in the enforcer role, coming back in the middle overs, bowling 1 of the last 5. Did he bowl 2 in one of the games? I can't remember. Bowling up front as well in the power play. And he bowled that hostile pace. And the South Africans never looked truly comfortable with Shamar's bowling. Obviously, Shamar is still a work in progress. There were some no balls in the first game. It's so on and so forth, but he's a work in progress. But we saw a slight evolution to Shamar's game, and like I say, he's now in that kind of quotient of fast bowlers who will challenge. Well, Alzari's a lock, but one of the fast bowlers who will play alongside Alzari Joseph going forward in the future. So fundamentally, after that opening monologue of about 12, 13 minutes, what I'm saying is, the majority of the players played well, and we have to rate that, we have to respect that, and we have to pump up our chests and say well done to them. Darren Sammy's team wins another series, Rothman Powell's team wins another series, and everybody is happy. Cool. I have a lot of caveats that I want to talk about, but now let's pull up some comments. Let's talk on the positives first, people. There are a lot of caveats that I want to talk about, but you don't know how people are already. Like, oh, Mash, you always focus on the negative. deliberately focused on talking about the positives first. So let's just talk on that, people. Let's rate the players. Let's big up our chests, and let's celebrate some of the successes. Let me pull up some comments. First and foremost, there was actually a super chat from Mike S. So Mike S says, King, Hope, Puran, Chase, Hetty, and Athanase in ODIs. Thank you for the super chat, Mike. I don't even know if you're still, because this was posted up before I even started the live. So I don't even know if you're still in this chat or in the live, Mike. Thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. That's one way you can support the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, people. If you're not a patron, super chat, super thanks, all of that all of that helps. Should those players play in ODIs? Yes, I've got no issue with any of that. I think Hetty had been dropped the last time he played ODIs, wasn't he? But yeah, I've got no issue with any of those 5 playing. Obviously, I don't think Puran wants to play ODIs at this moment in time. I think he's decided that he only plays T20s until he's needed for the ODI World Cup qualifiers. But yeah, all of those players should be in the West Indies ODIs team for sure. Got no issue with that particular comment. Let's pick up some comments. Frank says Romario was good, but he has to stop going from sublime to the ridiculous. However, he was brilliant. Yeah, I agree with that. See that water? Ice cold water, people. See, when that ice cold water bangs, nothing beats it. Osprey says West Indies could only beat the team in front of them. They did, good job, but they couldn't do it when it mattered in June. Yeah, we're going to get to that, certainly, and talk about that in a minute. OTC says King is out for at least 4 to 7 months. I don't know. I've not heard that. I'll speak to his agent and find out if that's true. What was his injury again? Did he get injured in the World Cup? What was it? Was it not a side strain or something? Or did he pull like a hamstring or something? I can't even remember what the injury was, but I'll find out if that's true. J. Luke says it's good to see good players like Hetty, Mayers, and Joseph fighting for a spot. Yeah, so it's good that Hetty can't make the team, and not because some people won't understand that comment. I'm not saying it's good that Hetmeyer isn't in the team. I'm saying it's good that he's a squad player. West Indies have to build their strength in depth. They have to. And that's kind of one of my critiques of this series. Have we established a strength in depth? So let me ask you lot this question. If this was the side that went into the next World Cup, do you think they could win? Right? And the reason why I say that, before anyone says to me, oh, but that's an unrealistic question because Alzari will be back. I'm talking about what if there were injuries? What if there were injuries? And my thing is this. You can't just have a squad of 15 players. You have to have a depth chart. For every single position in our team, you need to know, but who would come in if they were injured? So let me ask you a question. Before the next World Cup in 2026, if Akil Hussain and Gudakesh Moti both got injured before that World Cup, who comes in to replace them? And my answer is this: we have no idea. And why do we have no idea? Because we haven't tried anybody. Should we have tried somebody in this particular series? Yes. Why not? Because the series didn't matter. It didn't even matter. So it's things like that which just grate on me a tiny piece. You can't assume that everyone's going to be fit. You've always got to be planning in your head for eventualities and worst case scenarios. Right now, you lot tell me in the chat right now, if Akil and Moti suddenly were injured before the next World Cup and both couldn't go, who's our spinners for the World Cup then? Who's our spinners? Tell me, please, people. I can give you some names, but none of them have been tried. So who's our spinners then? And the minute you lot start writing the names down, that's when you'll start panicking, because then you'll be like, oh, sugar, but these men ain't ready. These men ain't ready. So we just had, look, I was trying to stay positive. I lasted 20 minutes before I had to start talking the realness. We just played 3 matches against a South African, was it even a C team, right? And we didn't try out no one. We didn't try out no one new to at least have a look. Just have a look to see if they're good or if there's somebody we can work with. Some of you will say, Mel, but Mash, we tried Athanase. Okay, I hear that. We tried Matthew Ford. I hear that. But Matthew Ford was already on the. We already knew about Matthew Ford. He played the 3 games before the World Cup, so it wasn't like Matthew Ford was playing and it was like, who's Matthew Ford? We've never really seen him at the international level before. We've kind of already had a glimpse of Matthew Ford. He played against England. He played against South Africa before the World Cup. He was unlucky not to make the World Cup squad. So seeing Matthew Ford play wasn't me learning anything, because I'd done already seen Matthew Ford play, and I'd done already know that he's somebody we can use in the future. See, so I thought somebody might say this. Oh, Shane Sullivan says we need to prioritize moving up the rankings. What does that do, though? What does that win for us, oh Shane? Tell me what that wins for us. So if we must prioritize moving up the rankings and going from number 4 to number 3, number 2, number 1, what's that actually doing, though? Let me remind you, before the World Cup, we were ranked number 4, and there were loads of West Indian fans, some of you in this chat right now, who are pumping up your chest going, no, Mash, you're disrespectful. We're the number 4 side in the World Cup. How dare you say we can't win the World Cup? Did we end in the top 4 in the World Cup, please, people? Someone tell me in the comments right now, did we end in the top 4 in the World Cup? We were ranked number 4 before the World Cup. Did we end in the top 4 in the World Cup? Someone get in the comments right now. Tell me, please. Did we end in the top 4? Oh, don't worry, I'm waiting. Did we end in the top 4 in the World Cup? Because that's what the ranking said. I'm waiting. Someone tell me. Where did we end, people? Top 4? I swear we didn't make semis. So don't tell me about we need to prioritize moving up the rankings. Rankings don't mean dog shit. It don't mean shit. It don't mean nothing. How about that? See, you lot got me fired up. Don't mean nothing. Don't mean nothing, people. Don't mean nothing. In fact, Fireball. So SOS says CCP continues to skip comments from people who know the game. Who are those people, SOS? It ain't you. It ain't you. I know that much. So who's the people that know the game? Tell me, please. Tell me. Tell me, SOS. If you know the game, like SOS says, get in the comments right now and tell me I know the game, and then tell me the comment that you want to make, because SOS thinks I'm skipping things. I'll put up anybody who thinks that you know the game. Tell me right now. Tell me the game that you know. Tell me, please. So start your comment with I know the game, and then tell me what the comment is. I'm waiting. I'm waiting right now. I'm waiting right now. I'm gone. Tell me about the game that you know. Tell me. Tell me. I'm waiting still. I'm waiting. I don't even play cricket and I know the game better than you. How about that? Well, people are quiet. I'm here. I'm waiting for the comments. SOS, where's the comments, man? Send the SOS then, innit? Come on. Send the comment. I was gonna go to sleep, you know, but now I'm heated. I'm heated. I'm heated up. Let me put some comments on. Okay, let's put some comments in. I'm waiting. Right, Ashade says. Ashade says, I know the game. Right, cool. Let's go. Solidify the team and build confidence. Then we can incorporate new players when we have a solid core. Okay, I hear that. Aren't we? Here's my question to that, O'Shane. Aren't we already there? We've won 5 T20s out of the last 6. How much more solidifying do we need to do? How much more confidence building do we need to do? I'm not saying the team's not good, you know. I'm hoping people ain't misunderstanding. I'm not saying the team's no good. I'm saying the team is good. I'm saying that they've restored the feeling, to steal a Will Ospreay comment. Yeah, they've restored the feeling, but we've got to also be realistic. A good team has a depth chart. If Nicholas Pooran got injured before our next World Cup, who replaces Nicholas Pooran? If Rothman Powell got injured before the next World Cup, who replaces Rothman Powell? So here's some homework for some of you. Write down our next 11. Write down our next 11. Give me here's some homework for you all. Here's the teacher of me right now coming out. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I'm a vice principal in a school, right? So here's some homework for you lot. Tell me our next 11. If there was a catastrophe and we had to field the next 11, who is it? From opener all the way down to bowler. Give me the depth chart. Give me the depth chart. If we're planning properly for 2026, we know our depth chart. We know who's coming in. I'm most scared about Moti and Hussain, if I'm honest. We have no idea who would replace Moti and Hussain if they got injured. So it's I'm being very, very serious. Where's SOS, by the way? Ever since he said he knows cricket, he ain't said nothing. SOS, come back. Come back. Stand on business. You said I'm avoiding comments and now you ain't here. Stand on business, SOS. Come back and release your comments. Right, okay, let's go. Let's find some other comments. Steven Seagal said South Africa won the series in the long term. They will be in the next World Cup. Bowling West Indies out for 130 again. That's hard. Where is the next World Cup, by the way? Where is it? Oh, it's in Sri Lanka. I think is it in Sri Lanka? Sri Lanka and India. I don't know about that, Stephen, but all I know is in the World Cup we lost to England and South Africa. That's all I know. I don't know if they'd beat us in the next World Cup, but what I do know is that South Africa used this series to have a look at their bench strength, their bench depth. And to be fair, their bench depth was shit, but at least they had a look at it. So South Africa have come out of that series knowing that they can't go into a World Cup with a bowling of the youth man Mafeka. So South Africa's bowling for this series we just had was that Ute man, that 18-year-old Ute man Mafeka, Mbappe, Lizard, and Bjorn Fortuin. That was their bowling attack. That bowling attack wouldn't even bowl down Jamaica Scorpions. So in fairness, South Africa at least learned something. They learned that they can't go into any World Cup with those four. They know that the lizard bowled well in I think it was game 2. They know that the Ute man has promise. So they know that them men aren't ready, but they also learned something about those guys. Okay. Remember, and this is the thing. In fact, SOS has finally stood on business. So SOS says, you said 3-0 clean sweep that we gave South Africa and Bean C team, you claimed. Last year in South Africa, we beat them 2-1 with their full-strength team. Did you remember? Yes, and what did that mean, though? What did that mean, SOS? So, let me stand on business for you, SOS. Let me stand on business for you. Before the World Cup, if anybody's in here who is a long-time proper listener of Caribbean Cricket Podcasts, you'll remember, go back to the live. I think I did a live show at the time. You'll remember that I was vocal before the World Cup. I was so vocal about it. I said the 3-0 series win against South Africa just before the World Cup when we played them 3 times at Sabina Park. I said it don't mean nothing. And I said at the time, that's not South Africa's real team, and they were missing 8 players. And I said, don't worry, when South Africa's real players come back, we'll see what happens. South Africa called up their real squad for the World Cup. Now, you lot tell me, who went to the World Cup final? Did we go to the World Cup final, the team that beat South Africa's B team 3-0? Or did South Africa's real team go to the World Cup final? Which side went to the World Cup final? Please tell me. I'm waiting. Which side went to the World Cup final? So this is why, and I was, again, people who watch this show, know that I said it with chest. I said it with chest. Do not read into that 3-0 win. It doesn't mean diddly squat for the World Cup. And Bear Man were coming at me going, nah, you're negative. You're negative. West Indies are ranked number 4 in the world. You'll see what's going to happen in the World Cup. I just stayed quiet. I stayed quiet. And which team knocked us out of the World Cup? The blood clot South Africans with their real team. And I just said to myself, you know what? Next time, let me just not say nothing. Because people who can't hear must feel. People who can't hear must feel. This South African team that we just beat, Listen again, people. These people, this here's 8 names who didn't play in this series just gone, and I don't need to. I don't need to research anything. I don't need to read anything to say these 8 names: David Miller, Henrik Klassen, Quinton de Kock, Kagiso Rabada, Anrik Norkier, Lingi Ngidi, Keshaf Maharaj, Tabray Shamsi. 8 man. 8 man, you know. 8 man didn't play in this series. All of them walk into that South African team. So two things can be right at the same time. We can pump up our chests and say that's our 50-20 series win out. Marco Jansen, 9 man. Marco Jansen, 9 man. 9 man. Right? So we can pump up our chests. We can pump up our chests and say we've just won our 5th series in 6. And I'm happy. I'm happy because ultimately you can only beat what's in front of you, you know? So I'm happy, and we must pump up our chests. So that can be correct. And at the exact same time, we can be realistic and say, but that weren't the real team. That weren't the real team. And the real team, the last time we played their real team, they knocked us out the World Cup. So this is why. So SOS, this is why I'm saying you need to stand on business, because you started off your comment with you're avoiding people who know cricket, but you've just shown me that you don't know cricket. You're still banging on about what happened in 2023. My friend, what happened 2 months ago? What happened 2 months ago? What are you talking about 2023 for? What happened 2 months ago? Oh, let's move on. You lot have me drink off this water. I'm getting heated up. Getting heated up out here. Caribbean Cricket Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Nobody does it. Like nobody does it like the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. I'll fling this bottle of water through the computer, you know. I'll fling it right now. Right, so right. So where are we? I don't even know. So did anybody write down did anybody write down the second 11 that we would field if there were some super chats. Let me go to the super chats in the meantime. So big up Dane. Thank you for the super chat. You didn't make a comment, but big up for the super chat all of the same. Much appreciated for the support, my guy. Much appreciated. Frank, thank you for super chat. So Frank says Hetty, Athanase and King have eye candy batsmanship. Now they have to show consistency. This will help improve our bench strength. Yeah, for sure. So let's try and do this. Actually, let's try. Let's try and do this. Is there a way that I can do this? Yeah. So I agree with Sumit on this point. So Sumit says, for a team that is not only trying to build a good squad, but also trying to reinvigorate the interest of casual fans in the region, is very important to win. I agree with that, and I think that's the point I was making at the start. You can only beat who's in front of you, and this team, and I'll repeat this point again. The good thing about Sammy's team is people are going into games believing the West Indies will win. Whereas in Test cricket, we go into games expecting to lose and hoping we can do something. We go into T20 games thinking, yeah, we'll win this one. And we're surprised if we don't win. And that's where I really give credit to Sammy. He has turned around how we think about our T20 side, and that's important. But I guess it's harsh, but in Test cricket, you have a longer metric to decide if the team is good or not. So like we've got the World Test Championship, and there's like 6 games across a 2.5 year period, etc., right? Or 2 year period. So there's a longer metric to make a decision about how good or how bad the team is. In T20 cricket, You're just playing friendlies. And the only metric by which to really say if the team is good is how you do it at World Cup. So respectfully, whilst I agree with Summit, and I'm like, yeah, Sammy's brought back the feeling, and people believe we've got a good team, and that matters, and it helps the West Indies brand. And if we have a really good T20 side, then other teams will want us to play them, and so on and so forth, the actual metric and yardstick for if they're actually good, unfortunately for them, it's the World Cup. If you think I'm wrong, you can tell me I'm wrong, but I think that is actually the measuring stick. So in 2024, our home World Cup, we just reached par. And if Sammy's realistic, and if any of the stakeholders or any of the players are listening to this saying this stink English London teacher man thinking he can just talk what he wants to talk, if they're all honest with themselves, they would say, you know what? Home World Cup, that was par. We didn't overachieve. We didn't underachieve. We did the bare minimum. And they would say they're slightly disappointed that they'd be disappointed, not even slightly, they'd be disappointed they didn't make the semi-finals in their home World Cup. That's my opinion on that. If they were being realistic, they'd admit it and say, we should have made the semi-finals in our home World Cup. And that's a slight underachievement, but it's par that we made the Super 8s. 2026 now, when we go to the 2026 World Cup, Sammy's legacy will be defined by how we do in that 2026 World Cup. I don't make the rules. This is facts to me. His legacy will be decided by what happens in that 2026 World Cup, because you can tell people, and we've won 7 out of 8 bilateral series, or we've won 10 out of 11 bilateral series, and that's great. But ain't nobody remembering in the record books how many bilateral series you won. They're going to look at what did you do in the World Cup. If I'm wrong, everyone get in the comments right now and tell me I'm wrong. If you think I'm wrong and that the measuring stick for this T20 side isn't the World Cup, then tell me then. Because they're so often. So the measuring stick has to be the World Cup. It can't be the bilateral series. It has to be. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. I'm going to wait in the comments to see if people, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. In the meantime, we can pump up our chest, though, and we can celebrate the team, and we can say, yeah, you men are getting on good. It feels good to see the West Indies are winning and the teams fear us when we play T20 cricket. But they're friendlies. The measuring stick has to be the World Cup performance. And Sammy will say that. If Sammy ever came on this show, after he'd call me a stink London English teacher man, he'd say, but you're actually right, though. The measuring stick is the World Cup. But also, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe listen, I don't have the answers. I could be wrong, you know. I could be wrong. I just give my opinion at the end of the day. I just give my opinion on how I see the cricket and how I analyze these things and what it means in the grand scheme of things. Anyways, lots of you have been giving a depth chart, so let's bring up some of these depth charts. Where are we? Did anyone put so Fireball says so Fireball's second 11 is my God help us and forgive our sins, amen, Ford and Chase. Boy. So who's done on the right? So O'Shane says Alec Fletcher, Carty, Hetmeyer, Elaine, Allen, Ford, Walsh, Obed, Bishop, and Seals. Oh, that's weak, you know. That second 11 wouldn't beat Nepal. That second 11 might lose to Papua New Guinea, you know. Let's see. Jay says Mikhail Louis, Alec Athanase, Casey Carty, Kadima Lane, Johan Jeremiah, Josh Da Silva, Kemo Paul, Matthew Ford, Shamar, Kevin, Josh. CPL this year is going to be interesting, actually, because when we're talking about second 11s, let's see in this year's CPL. I'm not really studying CPL this year, but let's see in this year's CPL if anybody puts their names forward from any of the teams that we don't already know about, because we do need to see. We need to see some new names, and this is okay. So this is one of the reasons why I feel sorry for Sammy, because after everything that I've said, check this point out. One of the reasons why I think Sammy's pretty much played a full strength squad against the South Africa B team is because who else was he supposed to call? As much as I can say, oh boy, you should have had a look at some other players, who else was he supposed to call? Who else is there really? So this is where this is why I always say that I am balanced. As much as some people have selective hearing and only hear what they want to hear to suit whatever narrative it is they've decided I'm talking about. But actually, there was a part of me which said, but Sammy ain't got no options. He kind of has to go full strength because, and as you lot have shown me from your depth charts, who else is there really? So a CPL 2024, which I'm not even really studying, I need to see some new names. I need to see something. Someone in CPL this year has to restore the feeling and put their hand up and say, boy, well, what about me? We've got T20s we've got 9 T20s left this year. It might even be more. I can't remember how. Yeah, we've got 3 against England, 3 against Sri Lanka, and 3. It might even be 5 against Bangladesh. I need to look, but it's definitely 3. So there's, at the bare minimum, there's 9 T20s left this year, international T20s. Someone in CPL has to put their hand up. A West Indian needs to put their hand up in CPL, who we haven't really previously been considering, who we can say, let's try out my guy against Bangladesh and see what they're saying. Because our depth is, we don't really have depth. We don't have no one. So when Sammy's playing Akil and Multi, part of me thinks he's playing Akil and Multi because he's looking around going, well, who else am I supposed to play? If I tell Akil and Multi to hold a rest, who else am I supposed to pick? Who else has done anything T20 wise, even in them down bad franchise leagues? Who's even done anything to justify having a look at? He'd have to start doing what. So I recorded a video earlier today for the Cricket 8 podcast. It's on YouTube if you want to go and watch it. And what we were discussing on there today was, I posed the question if more teams should approach selection the way England do selection. So for those of you who don't know, because it's probably a massive West Indian, fan base online at this moment in time. But for those of you who don't know, England recently selected this youngster, 20 years old, called Josh Hole. He's a 6'7" left arm seamer for Leicestershire, and I've seen Josh Hole play county cricket. He's all right. When I saw him play, he didn't look anything super special, but he's got the kind of athlete's body that would make him stand out. 6'7", left arm seamer, looks like he's got potential. Now, and then obviously England in recent times are selecting people almost based off like a Moneyball approach. They selected Bashir with no real cricket behind him and said, yeah, he's the next guy for us. And obviously Bashir licked West Indies down in the Test series. So England are kind of using this Moneyball approach to go out into the county system and say, he fits the metrics of what we're looking for. The numbers may not support it, but his metrics tell us that he may be the guy, even though the numbers don't say that. Josh Hole, they've gone down that same route again, where they've gone, the metrics for Hole, left arm seamer, 6'7", can swing it back in swinger, out swinger, looks like he can go up an extra notch of pace. The metrics suggest he's going to be good, but his numbers are shit. We're picking him anyways. I look at England and I'm like, is that what West Indies should be doing? Because we don't have the depth. We don't have the depth of, or the pool, or the depth of talent to just be looking at people's numbers and going, right, it's your turn now. Because we've been doing that for 24 years and it ain't helped no one, right? So should we be looking at CPL this year and almost doing up Moneyball and seeing a man and saying, okay, TKR only played you for 2 games. You didn't get a bat. You didn't get to bowl. But we like the look of you. We're going to call it up to West Indies. I wonder if that's what we need to do, because we don't have the talent pool. Our pool is shallow. So do we need to do Moneyball and start picking out random guys who fit a certain metric? I don't know. I'm not saying I'm not. Before people get dunce and think that I'm saying that's what we should do, I'm saying, should we do that? I wonder if that's how we should start looking at some of our selections and be in left field. Sean's not in this. Sean's in the Discord. He's one of the ones in our Discord. He's not in this live right now, but he's going to love what I'm about to say next. If we needed an opener, there would be nothing wrong with picking Rakeem Cornwall. Let me say it again, because some people are going to go mad, and listen to what I'm saying. Listen carefully, because some of you are dunce and hard of hearing. So listen to what I'm saying. If we needed an opener and they were doing it purely on metrics, listen, or those of you down the sides and out the back, listen to what I'm saying before you get dunce and bossy in the replies. Cornwall's metrics suggest that he is one of the better openers in the region when it comes to utilizing the power play and not wasting time. I'm not saying I'd pick him. I'm saying the metrics would suggest that if it's purely based on who gets on with the job at task and actually uses the power play for the reason the power play is supposed to be used for, Cornwall's probably one of the best in the region. I know he can't move, but I'm just saying metrics. If West Indies were to apply something like that, Cornwall would probably make a West Indies T20 side. We don't do that because he's big and he can't move, right? That's why we don't do that. But I'm saying maybe we should be doing something like that where we actually study the thing properly and go, who rotates strike the best or has the skill set to imply that they could rotate strike the best? The numbers may not support it, but they have the that's what we should be doing. That's what we should be doing. I think, where's Osprey? Because he knows a lot about this stuff. So Osprey says the problem is England have the sports science facilities to help them do their Moneyball picks. Yeah, and that's the difference. If we did Moneyball in the West Indies, it would be the equivalent of an uncle just looking at a player and going, I like the look of him. There'd be no basis behind it whatsoever. They'd just look at the player, watch him playing, I like the look of him, but it wouldn't be based on anything. That's not Moneyball. Our Moneyball means literally breaking down the metrics of the specific skill sets that you're looking for. So say, for example, for those, I don't know how many of you have watched the Moneyball film, because you really need to watch Moneyball, the film, or read I think there's a book on it to really understand how it works. I think it was the Oakland Raiders. Was it Oakland? Was that what they were called? Oakland Raiders in American baseball. And what West Indies would have to do is something like this. They'd have to do something like, so when Dre Russ retires properly, there may never be another Dre Russ for the next 10, 15 years in the Caribbean. Somebody who can leg a long ball, ramp it up to 90 plus miles an hour, bowl a Yorker, bowl at the death, bowl in the power play, bowl in the middle overs, do an enforcer role, float in the top order, right? There may never be another Dre Russ, right? But you can find two players whose metrics add up to make Dre Russ. That's how Moneyball works. So rather than looking around the region going, boy, we need a player to replace Dre Russ, you find two players who the sum of their parts put together is basically Dre Russ. What I'm describing, though, will never happen in the West Indies. That will never, ever happen in the West Indies. It should, but it will never happen in the West Indies. Impossible. Me talking about it is already 25 years. I'm like dopers in athletics. I'm like a drug cheat. What I'm talking about, West Indies administrators are gonna get to where I'm at 25 years from now. So I've already beat the doping tests. I'm way ahead of where they're at. They'll get to this in 25 years time. Real talk. Real talk. Anyways, drunk half my water, Drunk half my water. Do we have anything else to talk about? I think that's it. I don't even know what I was really planning to do with this one. Still, did we even really talk about this? Did we even really talk about the T20 series? Listen, they done well. And well, Fireball says by 25 years' time, you'll be a proper uncle. Listen, by the time, well, I'm basically saying to everyone, we have to wait 25 years for West Indies to be good. That's what I'm basically saying here. Right. West Indies Sports Cricket says Jewel Andrew will be a good big one for the future. Yeah, he should be. Which CPL side is he in this year? Does anyone know? Which is he? Is he in St Kitts or yeah, it would be St. Which one is he in? Antigua, I mean, the Falcons. He must be. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Jewel. I would assume Antigua will give him a play. Jewel should be one of the youngsters who actually gets a game this year. I don't think many of them will, but Jewel should be someone where Antigua basically say to Jewel, "You're playing every single game, no matter what." That's what they should be doing. Whether they do that or not, I don't know. But they should be giving Jewel the keys to the city and allowing him to just develop. But we'll see. We'll see which of the CPL teams are brave enough to give any of the Ute Man games. We done know already that TKR won't give any of the Ute Mans any games. So we know TKR will be the worst at giving the Ute Men games. So we just need to see which of the other teams will be brave enough to give Ute Man to give some Ute Man games. Remember, people, as well, WCPL, the final is tomorrow. Particularly if you're in Trinidad, I've been told that tickets are free for the final. So it's Trinbago Knight Riders versus Barbados Royals. I presume it's at Lara. I would assume it's at Lara. So yeah, that's free. So if you're in Trinidad and you fancy some free cricket, your women's team is playing the Barbados Royals in the WCPL final. They need to add another team to that WCPL thing. The three teams thing isn't cutting it. It feels like a FET tournament when it's only three teams. They need to add another team to that. Some super chats. Let me get to them. Sorry. So Mike S says Mayers. Oh, so this is his second 11, his T20 second 11. Mayers, Athanase, Hetty, Allen, Sinclair, Holder, Bishop, Paul, McCoy, Ford. How's Chemo Paul getting in these teams? Where is Chemo Paul? I ain't seen him since. What's the last game of cricket Chemo Paul played? I don't know the last time I saw Chemo Paul play cricket. Some of these players just disappear in and out of the ether, Like, you don't know where they've been, where they've gone. And anyway, I don't know where Chemo Paul's been, I think Joshua Bishop, yeah. Joshua, if I was going to give someone a try, instead of Akil or Multi, just to see them, I'd probably give Joshua Bishop a go. So I think that's a fair call. Thank you for the super chat, by the way, Mike S. Much appreciated. Sumit says, off topic, but was happy to see Hetmeyer back. Yep. And he showed some touches in that innings that should get him right back in the test squad. I don't think Hetmeyer is studying test cricket. Do you know what? I've been in this shows how low the standards are, right? I was about to say I've been impressed that Hetmeyer has stuck around even though he's not played. That shows how low the standards are. I shouldn't even be saying that. I shouldn't even be thinking to say, oh, well done for staying in the squad that you've been picked in. But I think a lot of people, I don't think it would have been harsh to say that a lot of people would have thought that when Hetty didn't get a game in the World Cup, they might have just ducked out from West Indies again. So well done to Hetty for, I guess, humbling himself, realizing I'm not first choice no more. Like I gotta work to get back into this team. And well done for not, I guess, putting his dummy in his mouth, dashing his toys everywhere, and saying, "Bun West Indies, I'm gonna go back across the bridge and never come back again." Like, so hopefully, this is the start of Hetty reinvesting in being a West Indian cricketer and wanting to represent the West Indies and recognizing that he has to earn the right, and that nobody just gets a free pass. And actually, there's a few comments here. Let me bring up Obama. No, not on. Not that one. Where is it? No. Jay, sorry. So Jay Luke says Hetmeyer also looked like he lost a few kilos. Yeah, I had a few messages about this. That a lot of people messaged me saying it looks like Hetty might have got a bit slimmer. Good. That's what you're supposed to be doing. If he's taking his craft seriously, that's what he should be doing. So yeah. Right, okay. And then last super chat from Frank. Thank you, Frank. Super chat. So Frank says, I think this is his second 11. Cornwall, Lane, Kadeem. Yep, I think that's a fair shout. Who's Kadeem playing for this year? Those who've been studying CPL, who's Kadeem playing? Is he in Barbados Royals? Who's Kadeem? Does anyone know? Is he in the Barbados Royals squad? Is he TKR again? Is he? I thought it was Barbados, you know. Okay, so yeah, lots of people saying Royals. So I don't know if Kadeem's going to get a play, you know, because Kadeem's an opener, but Barbados Royals have Cornwall and Athenays, right? And Cornwall's definitely starting. So I don't even know if Kadeem's going to get a play. But yeah, I hear you, Frank, that Kadeem is somebody who might be a backup. They took him to Nepal. Fabian Allen, yep. Josh Bishop, Kevin Sinclair. Is Sinclair in CPL this year? See, I'm asking you questions. It really shows you that I'm not studying CPL. Is Sinclair in the Amazon Warrior side, or did they retain him? They retained his brother or Junior Sinclair. Is Kevin Sinclair in CPL this year? I'm looking at the comments, hoping you lot can tell me. Is Kevin Sinclair in CPL? Did he get a pick? I swear I didn't see. Is he in the Guyana squad? Apparently, two people are saying yes, he is. One person saying no, he's not. Who's got the definitive? Okay, well, I'm just gonna assume. Are you lot not mixing him up with Junior Sinclair? Or are both Sinclairs in CPL? Or are you mixing him up with Junior? Is Junior Sinclair in CPL? See? I need to. Anyways. Both are with the Amazon Warriors. Okay, fair. Right. Okay. So Sinclair, Thorn. So where's Thorn? Where's Thorn? Who's Thorn with? Is Thorn with Guyana as well? I'm waiting for you lot to teach me about CPL this year, and I've really not paid attention yet. You know, where's Thorn? Please, someone. Is he with Guyana or is he somewhere else? Right. Ethan's in. So Ethan says Thorn is with Barbados. Right. I wonder if he'll get a play. A lot of these youth men might not get a play, you know. As Isaiah should stand a chance of getting a youth man play with the Royals. I need to go look at that Royal squad. Thorn should be getting at least 1 or 2 plays with the Royals. Springer. Frank, that's an interesting call to call Springer. Is Springer with listen, this should have been a CPL live. Is Springer with Antigua? Because a lot of the Jamaica team went over to Antigua. Is Springer with Antigua? Does anyone know? Is Springer even in CPL? Surely he's in it. He must be with surely he would have gone with the Jamaica team to Antigua. Right. So Obama says Springer is with Antigua. Kevin Wickham. John. Who's John? Ryan John? Cornwall can double up. That's right. Okay. So yeah. So thank you, Frank, for that super chat. Much appreciated. Do you know what? As much as I've said that I'm not studying CPL, tomorrow I might need to spend some time just studying the CPL squads, because CPL put out a press release earlier today. Oh, sugar, sorry, here's a comment I didn't. So Ethan says that Isaiah isn't, the Barbados Royals haven't picked Isaiah Thorne as an emerging player, which is okay. So for those of you who don't understand the rules of CPL, if you're not an emerging player, so unless CPL have changed the rules as I've always understood it is emerging players have to play. You have to, sorry, let me start again. You have to have picked an emerging player in at least 5 of the 10 group games that you play. Unless the rules have changed, that's how I understand it. So if Isaiah isn't an emerging player, he may not get a play. I mean, he should still get a 1 or 2 plays at least, but if you're an emerging player, you at least have to get a play at some point in time. So we'll see how that works out. So what I'm going to do, people, is tomorrow I'm going to go look at the CPL squads properly, because CPL put out a press release today. There's been more changes in the squads. Let me actually, for those of you who don't know, let me just go and find that now. Because I saw it briefly earlier today. Let me see if I can find that for those of you who don't know. So here we go. So for those of you who don't know, here's some St. Lucia Kings have replaced Henrik Claesson, and they've replaced him with Tim Seifert. The TKR have selected Andres Goose. Can't remember how you say his surname. The guy plays for USA. He's replaced Tim David temporarily for the first 4 games. Barbados Royals have selected Dunith Welalagi, I don't know how you say his name, the Sri Lankan spinner, and Shamar Brooks, who will both cover David Miller and Keshav Maharaj for the first 2 games. I don't know if any of you... so what's happened is that Cricket South Africa have told all of their players that they have to come home to South Africa for the Cricket South Africa Awards. So that's why so many of the South Africans aren't available for the first 5 days of the tournament or something. I think the Cricket South Africa Awards are the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of September. So they've all been as part of their South African contracts, they've all been told they have to come home for that. So that's why you'll see some teams saying, "All right, this South African isn't available for now," and so on and so forth. So that's why there's been some changes around players dropping in and out and substitute replacements and this, that, and the other. I think Saeem Ayub, the Pakistani who played for Guyana last year, I swear I read he's not been given a knock by PCB. So I don't know if have Guyana replaced him yet, or is that maybe still in negotiations and discussions? So yeah, we'll see about that as well. Mike S says check out Ramon Simmons. Yeah, Ramon Simmons, 2 years ago I had heavy stocks in Ramon Simmons. I spoke to some of the Barbados cricket community a few months back and was like, what's happened to Ramon? I know he's with the academy, but he's it feels like he's gone back in his development. Anyways, long story short, they said injuries is why you haven't really seen him out and about and making the headwaves he probably should have done by now. So he's had a few injury setbacks. Hopefully, I know, like I say, he's played some games for the academy in the last 6 months to a year or so. So hopefully he's back on the comeback trail. But if they can get Ramon Simmons back up to the potential he was showing about 18 months ago, he will be a problem for sure. But we'll see. Listen, people, I'm going to lock this one off. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to everyone who joined this live. It's a bit of a random one. Started off looking at the T20 series, went here, there, got heated, spoke about second 11s, spoke about the positives, spoke about not even the negatives, but things that we need to plan for in the future. We spoke about depth charts. We spoke about Moneyball, and we've kind of finished this episode off talking about CPL. Myself and Santoki have decided not to cover CPL this year. It's just staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning in the UK to watch CPL games is too much, people. We've done it for the last 4 years, and it just mashes your body up. The World Cup, I felt like the world was going to end when I was when I was watching the World Cup. That I was in that World Cup, I was watching games, getting 30 minutes sleep and holding a fresh and then going into work. I don't know how I survived that World Cup, So CPL, I don't know, people. I don't know if I just don't know. Santoki and I have said we're not doing it. So that's why I don't know much about the squads, because we've basically just not paid attention. So I don't know. Maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe I'll lock him for that first game. Who knows? For those of you who are county cricket fans, I doubt there's anybody on this live who is, but if you are, for the next 2 days, I'm at Essex County Cricket Ground. I'm doing some work for the BBC, Essex versus Worcestershire. So that will be on obviously all the different radio channels, but also the Essex Cricket TV YouTube channel. So if anybody for some reason is super interested in Essex versus Worcestershire, I'm doing some comms on that over the next 2 days, days 1 and days 2. So yeah, look in for that, and so on and so forth. That's us. I'll be Machel St. Patrick here, one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. On your way out, if you haven't already done so, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend about the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. And we will be back very, very soon.
We rule the cricket world. Now the rule seems coming.
Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans.